Good morning. Hey, everybody. I am back for a brief second because something in my spirit said to come on here and talk about how narcissistic abuse gets worse with your parents soon as when you start to get older. Um, um, and this tends to happen because narcissistic parents, they look at their children as like a pond. um, they look at their children as an extension of themselves. And they also look at their children as a source of control to feed their need. So when you are getting older, you start to develop your own identity. You start to develop your own personality. You are learning how to think for yourself, how to be independent. That definitely is a trigger, and it threatens narcissistic parents, especially narcissistic mothers. I in no relationship with my dad, so I would assume maybe narcissistic fathers probably operate in the same way, but I can only speak about mothers. I mean, I hear a lot of stories about women who grew up with narcissistic moms and they were like the caregiver, at a young age, and their mom had this entitlement, for them to like take care of the household, take care of them even at a young age. But in my experience, I've experienced narcissistic abuse when I was young, but the abuse definitely got 10 times worse as I got older. Um, and that's when I started to experience financial abuse with my mom. I did speak about financial abuse before in one of my last video, but I realized that the audio was kind of low. But one of the ways that my mom tried to control me as an adult and financially abuse me, um, when I finally decided to move out of my home, which took me a while. They do say that it takes a victim 7 times to leave. It's the same thing when you are being. It could be the same thing when you are being abused by your parent. It's not just for intimate relationships, because it definitely took me time to like finally get up and leave. Like I was like literally back and forth to family and friends, because when I left, I felt this sense of anxiety. That trauma bond was still there. I felt like I couldn't make it out in the world without that attachment, which was programmed into me because they program you to be extremely codependent on them. But when I finally left her home and I was living with a family member that she didn't know about, um, she refused to take my name off the lease. Um, she refused, and her explanation of not taking my name off the lease was because, oh, she said that if something happened to her, that I'll be able to have the apartment. So she did not want to take my name off the lease, but there was a catch to it. I still had to give her money every week because my name was on the lease, and that I still had stuff in her house, stuff that she wouldn't allow me to get, mind you, clothes and stuff. I left my mom's house literally with the clothes on my back, and I think I had like a backpack of like maybe a few t-shirts and some pants, and that was it. Literally left everything that was there and wasn't really allowed to take what I can take. Um, well, actually, wait, did I? My memories, but actually, no. I actually was able to take some things. I went to the apartment when she wasn't there, and I called the police, and two police officers actually escorted me to the apartment. And luckily, she wasn't home. They verified my ID, and I was able to take some things. Sorry, I was able to take some things um, from the house. But anyways, she wanted me to still give her money. Um, and I was doing it because why? I was a people pleaser. I didn't know any better. She was still manipulating me and controlling me because my mom is a very hungry. She's a very money hungry person. The minute I became an adult, within like 2 seconds, I had to give her everything. I didn't learn how to save. I didn't learn about finances. I had to learn everything on my own. The only thing she probably ever taught me how to do, which she really didn't, was to file my taxes, because when income tax came, her thirsty ass was right in that H&R Block office to see what I was getting back. That was probably the only form of finance that she probably tried to teach me, which didn't even, it wasn't even a lesson. But when I told her that I was no longer giving her money because I was now living with someone else, so I now had to give the person who I was living with share the rent, because you can't stay in somebody, you can't, roommate stay with somebody for free, especially in this world living in New York. And I told her no. And when she was taking money from me, she would actually show up to my job and take money from me every week. And she texted me one day while I was at work, and she said she was downstairs. And that was the day that I finally told her. She came up. I met her downstairs, and I was like, "This, I am no longer giving you any money. I don't live with you anymore. I don't care to have my name on the lease." I was actually going to go to the leasing office on my own to remove my name off the lease because, at the time I was young. I didn't know how to, I didn't know what I can do, what I couldn't do. And then I had some older adults tell me you can physically take your name off the lease. I told her that I wasn't going to give her any money, and she texted me the next day and was like, "Your name is now removed off the lease." Her intentions were not keeping my name on the lease because she wanted me to have an apartment. Her intention was keeping my name off the lease because I was no longer in her home and she had no way else to control me. And that was her way of controlling me. So she thought. But yes, narcissistic parents, the abuse gets worse as you get an adult. It was extremely bad as I got older. Um, my mom was controlling to the point of she wanted to dictate what I wore, my outfits. When I would leave her house, I would have to change certain clothes because she wanted me to wear certain things. When I started to become independent and was doing my own hair, she would pick arguments because she wanted to. She basically, it was like I was like her Barbie doll. I was a puppet. Um, and I was on TikTok, and there was somebody that was talking about narcissistic parents and was saying how moms, it's like they want that submission from their daughters, and it was spot on. Like that's how my mom was. It's like they want to be able to control you. They do not have children because they want to be mothers and parents and just love. They want to have children because they just want something there so they can have some form of control in their life. That's why they have children, in my opinion. um Very calculated. um, I grew up as the only child. My siblings didn't live with me, which was is a blessing in disguise because um, I noticed that there were ways that she was triangulating us even when we weren't living, even though we didn't grow up together. But I could imagine the triangulation. Um, what type of triangulation would have happened if we were all under the household? But yes, it gets worse as they get older. Um, their identities are enmeshed with their kids. My mom, when I succeeded in certain things, she looked at it as if it's because of her. Everything was because of her. Um, I felt like I was in college not because I wanted to go to college, but because of her, to give her money, to make her look good. Everything was for her. And yes, it took me a while to leave because that is abuse. It takes victims 7 times to finally leave. And it took me a while to leave. And I was blessed to be in therapy at the time, and my therapist was helping me get out, and I had family that I was able to stay with, and friends that were open enough to have me stay with them so I can finally leave her home. And I just wanted to share that bit of information. If you are somebody who is um, dealing with a narcissistic parent, thinking about going no contact, is a point to where it's not they're never going to change. They're not, especially now that you're an adult. Is just like it. They're not going to change. But yes, I just wanted to come on here and share that because that was in me to just kind of share that experience. And I hope everybody enjoy their day, and I will see you later. Bye.